Hello, and welcome to another very special edition of Code Remix Weekly. We are your usual hosts, Sam and Tim. Tim, what's special about this week's episode?
This is the 100th episode that we're doing. So
Ast-
let's
Astonishing that we've made it this far. Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. And to celebrate, our producer Jada got me, at least. I don't know if she gifted you one of these, but I have to assume she did a custom Funko Pop. Oh, there we go. They got the facial hair in there.
like the one of one. This is
Yeah.
kind of weird to see yourself in a plastic box.
Yeah, a little bit. So far, I haven't decided if I should leave it in the box where or take it out. I don't know. I hear that collectors often say the value of these things goes down if it's out of the box. And I mean, this is a one out of one. If that's not a limited collector's edition, I don't know what is.
I'd say at the very least,
Kevin wants one
put it
too.
in the bookshelf back.
Yeah. I figure it'll be a little decoration there. Although usually my head will probably be occluding it. But on the off chance that I get up or walk away from the camera, it'll be there to remind people exactly what I look like, I suppose. So that's nice.
Yeah. So no, that's mine is right now fallen over. So if you do get it out of the box, make sure you put the feet wall on
The feet on a little
platform.
stand. Yeah, Ken is asking if it's signed, and it isn't yet. But I'm sure I could fix that, and that would surely skyrocket the resale value. And then this little guy could be my new retirement savings. That'll be perfect. I actually had a friend, another software developer at one of the companies I used to work for, who was like a Funko Pop collector. And this is when I worked at Tableau, which makes data analysis and visualization tools. And so he was visualizing the market value of his Funko Pop collection according to, some resale website or some like auction website to track when it might make sense for him to sell one of his, auction one of his rare Funkos in order to usually make an acquisition of a different rare Funko Pop. So maybe I should check with him and see what see what the one of one Sam Snyder and Tim Tabeeks are worth.
see what the market value is of these that we only just got out of the plastic, in my case.
Well, you did. I mean, you trashed the value of yours by taking it out of the box, but mine is still pristine.
I still have the box. Like if needed, I can put it back in.
But now you've admitted for the whole world to see that it's been taken out. It's like when you buy a new car and drive it off the lot and immediately lose 30% of its value because it goes from new to used. Right on, Tim. Well, hey, congratulations to you as well, to both of us for reaching number 100. What do we have for news for the people today?
So in terms of news, as always, I'll take you through a couple quick tabs. Of course, we didn't have a show last week. Like you were traveling, I was traveling, I think. I don't recall. But we did do a new release. And as always, we post our headline news items on the Blue Sky, as well as X accounts that we have. And one that I quite liked was the Javadoc to Markdown migration that we now have. So we added support in the parser, and now you can have like the triple slash to get your Markdown going there for the folks on Java 25.
So the idea there is that it converts the Java comments themselves to Markdown, or generates Markdown documents from your Java comments.
So it in place replaces the / the Java docs to triple slash Markdown as of Java 23, I believe was a feature. And then
Nifty.
You can now have a different style, slightly more readable. And of course, we convert all the tags underneath as well. It's just one of the recipes in a large batch of changes that went out. But also in there is, of course, the changes for C# recipes, as well as a couple others, and then more extensive Spring migrations, various different things that I think folks have been asking for recently. So if you want to know all about it, then go to our full release page, where you can see that we have some close to 4,000 recipes, or over 4,000, now in the public tenant, public set of recipes. And then what we also added in there is a new Java best practices recipe, because we found that quite often after you've migrated to Java 25, there's still a lot of recipes we could run, but that are maybe slightly too opinionated to run as part of every migration. So what we did is we started to group them logically into a recipe that you by now know as a pattern that goes above and beyond just a pure upgrade. And this then helps you convert more cases to text blocks and introduce var where it makes sense, not all the time, but there in the cases where we think it helps readability, and a lot more small opinionated changes that we think weren't fit to go into a pure migration, but are very much something that you can get value from if you run them regularly to help educate your colleagues about the better ways to do things in Java. So if you're interested in that one, then you can go to the platform, you can run it, and if you then run it here, you'll see these types of changes where we're going to introduce the unnamed variables here. Let me try to pull up a Java example if we can. Come on.
Oh, here we go. Naz is eager to join in episode 100 as a semi-regular guest. He wants his share.
Yeah. I could see him like knock over the Funko Pop at some point if you leave it at.
Oh, absolutely. You're a little hazard.
And here immediately you see one of those examples of those triple slashes being introduced, where previously we had a Java doc, and now it becomes a Markdown Java doc, which isn't very spectacular in this particular case. But you can see if you use more tags, that would be an improvement of the readability and just a lot more present to write when you have like a triple slash like this. So
and it's kind of nice just that for even just the single line comments, or I guess particularly for the single line comments, it takes 3 lines of comments down to 1.
No. Or in this case, where you had like those awkward leading slashes, and then you have to align the stars and the new lines, where it is now it's just triple slash, and then all the authors are just converted as they should be. So pretty nifty. But of course, you can only do this if you're on Java 25, but that's included in this recipe. So I recommend you run it, try it out, and let us know. Like, we'd love to hear feedback on these types of things. So then, looking beyond that, we have just a couple of events coming up in April. I think we have 1 or 2 every week. We are looking forward. So on April 13th, we'll be at Spring I/O in Barcelona. I'll be there with 3 other colleagues. We'll be giving a workshop, and then look forward to see folks join us there. Just a day later, we're also in Toronto. It's a slightly different team, fortunately. No overnighting to get to the next one. And then we'll be present at the Open Source in Finance Forum in Toronto. And then a week later, there is back-to-back JCon and Devoxx France. So if you want to catch Merlin or me presenting at either of those, then definitely chime in as well. And then
what are the subjects of your presentations?
So for JCon, I have a workshop on testing practices on Monday. Then on Tuesday morning at 9, I have a presentation on Assert J. And then it's off to the train station to make it to Paris in time for the presentation there on deterministic migrations in the age of AI. So that's my week sort of gone. And then Merlin similarly has a presentation as well. Can we find him on the schedule? Merlin. It's helpful that he's usually the only Merlin there. On enabling digital sovereignty by TechTech Liquidity. So hope to see any and all of you there.
Kevin thinks you might need another conference to relax between your conference appearances.
Well, it is like my second presentation is on Tuesday, and my last one is on Friday. So technically, I have like 2.5 days where I wouldn't know what to do with myself. So I could.
There's probably some other conference going on, or like at least a user group or something.
But at least we have a booth as well, so I won't be lonely. I'll have plenty of folks to talk to. And,
that's good. So, that's good.
Yeah, should be okay. And then if you can't join us in person, then there's always the virtual events. So we have anyone, don't blame the agent, blame the context. I think Brian is going to present as well on how to improve your experience there. And then there's the monthly trainings that we shall do. So if you're by the end of the month want to learn more, then we have a new introductory course starting there. So hope to get you in any of those. And then looking ahead, of course, in May, we'll have our own Code for Remix Summit. So I'll be there. I think you're scheduled to attend as well.
Probably.
We'll see. And then, of course, we hope to see all of you there. So if you do want to get your tickets, I believe we have discounted tickets until the 3rd of April. So you have 2 more days to get those in. So if you're watching this tomorrow, that's the perfect time to get your tickets. So not the next week. So hope to see you there. And then we've had quite a productive couple of weeks in terms of blogs. So if you're interested in getting a more thorough read on any of the 4 topics that you see lined out here, then definitely check out the blog that we have. The first one is more of like an overview that we are now the agent tools company, where previously we developed tools for users. It turns out agents are our next biggest users as well. So that's a nice read. Then we also have this one on can you trust what you write with these tools? So I can definitely recommend that as well. Next up, we have the follow through on what to do after you create a PR, based on some sessions that we did recently with some large players as well. And then finally, we have one that went live, I think, an hour before the show. So if you're interested in code quality metrics and how to maybe translate to test coverage or lack of test coverage, then definitely check out this one as well, because then you can find how we use that to guide new efforts and how to have maybe targeted efforts to improve either code coverage with tests or improve the quality of your code where you have decent coverage.
Yeah, Jonathan was showing me some of this when I was with him in St. Louis just yesterday. And there's pretty interesting things here about using the running various code quality analyses on top of the LST during development. Because I don't know if you've had this experience, but I've certainly seen that agents will sometimes like to create God classes or God methods where they just pack more and more code into things. And if you are kind of alongside that running something that keeps track of cyclomatic complexity or any of these other kinds of objective measures of the code's construction, that you could feed that back into the LLM as part of it. So it might not be like job done as soon as the tests are passing, but also be like, wait, maybe this should be refactored or broken up a little bit. So I think there's some really interesting and practical ideas here about how to get better quality code out of your agents. Something I'm very interested in is with all of the additional code reviewing going on, it's just, if the code is, there's so much more code to review now that if it's bad, it's just like this huge like cognitive drain to be having to parse through all of that and request changes and new rounds of review and such. So anything you can do to kind of like front load quality into the development process, I think has a lot of potential.
Yeah, and absolutely, as you develop, so not have it be a spike on next month's dashboard, but have it be something that you can correct already before you send the PR even. That is definitely great to see. And then also what I really liked is tying the code quality back to the test coverage and the lack of test coverage, such that where you see overlap there is where you probably have some immediate things you want to address right now to get both of those in better shape.
Absolutely.
But then, that's all on the blog. So if you're interested in reading any of that, then definitely check it out. I'll just send the general link to the blog because it counts for all 4 of them. And then looking ahead next week, we'll have Kito Mann on to talk about modernizing the mission critical with OpenRewrite and AI. I know he's been presenting on this topic at various conferences, and I think we'll also have him on for Code for Remix Summit. So it should be interesting to catch up with him next week. So hope you all join us there. So that then is all the updates that I had for the past 2 weeks or so.
Very good. And I think that brings us to the main topic of today's episode, which is some recent rapid advances in language support in Open Rewrite. We've kind of long been in the Java ecosystem, and have at times been a bit slow to expand into other ecosystems. But that has rapidly been changing recently, as we have been setting fleets of agents to the task of expanding language support into Go, Scala, JavaScript, TypeScript, C#, of course, alongside the efforts of human engineers. And we don't necessarily have a lot of recipes to show off, but I think, Tim, you're ready to show some to kind of give people a little bit of a tour of the code, which the parsers for all these languages are in the main Open Rewrite repository and are open source. So, for example, here is the C# LST, which I note extends J. All right, Greg is excited for Scala. You a big Scala guy, Greg? Have you done a lot of Scala? I have an interest in functional programming, but I've never really dabbled in Scala specifically. So I'd be curious to hear about your experiences.
And he also has some fun colleagues who are very much interested in Scala. So it should be nice to see that unlocks right now. But what I wanted to call out here for the folks that while, of course, you're looking right now at a Java class, trust me that there is a parallel C# class as well within here. And the same goes for, mouse isn't working at the moment. The same goes for the Go and the Scala implementations, where every time you see this, this is mostly to help the current core of the recipes that we have work on the same model by mapping all of it back to the J model that we have wherever possible. So you see that here where a compilation unit implements it being a C# class, and then also implementing the Java source file interface. And that means that we have a good core set of recipes that will work also on C#. And you can see the same pattern as we go to Go, where you see, again, it extends J, and it also has a compilation unit that implements Go and a Java source file. And this kind of repeating just means that a lot of the recipes that we have for basic things like imports or packages or method renames or changing things there, or even looking towards code quality, they can run all on the same model and all affect changes across all of these, meaning we don't have to now implement all of them sixfold and maintain them sixfold and troubleshoot them in all of those different ways. So that's a very nice underpinning that we have in these parsers, and it also means that we can now very rapidly expand both language support as well as the recipes that go with them.
Yeah, and this showing it on the you alluded to how for each of these, or maybe you said explicitly, for each of these there are the classes on the Java side, but also corresponding classes in that language, right? As it's also possible to write a recipe in C# or write a recipe in Go, and that there's this whole remote procedure call mechanism for sending back and forth. Hold on, I need to sneeze because of all the cat hair. Thank you for helping clear out my sinuses there, Naz. That there is an RPC mechanism for transferring changes to an LST back and forth between processes, between a JVM where the recipe running infrastructure is substantially located and a .NET process for C# or a native binary for Go, or similarly for some of these other languages. I mean, Scala, I'm sure all happens inside the main JVM process, same as Java or Kotlin do. But yeah, I think showing maybe both halves of that coin might illustrate for the people how this recipe authoring process works, or how the parsing process works.
So we have sender and receiver for Go and for Java each. And that allows you to get a bit of a feeling of how that interoperability works between the two languages. I've not gone into the weeds of these aspects myself just yet. I'm not sure if you yourself have been part of this process.
I have. I've been looking at the code reviews and commits as they've come in. I think one kind of interesting thing about this is how if you look at the RPC protocol, kind of what gets sent over the wire, like, you can have in a recipe list, you could have a recipe written in Go and a recipe written in Java, and have both of them manipulating this like a Go LST, both seeing, on the Go side, it sees, the Go objects, the Go process, and on the Java side, it sees the corresponding JVM objects. And there's this, this RPC channel that communicates, bidirectionally back and forth, so that, there's one consistent view of what the LST is as the recipe execution proceeds. And what gets sent back and forth is more or less a diff, right? As we don't send like the entire LST, it's not like you send the entire LST, over to the Go side and have it make a bunch of changes and send the entire changed LST back to the Java side. It's just the bits that change, which make for a really minimal and compact representation going over the wire, as it were. Even the wire might just be HTTP communication on this same machine, not like you're not usually running it remotely, although that could be possible. Yeah, so I thought that was an interesting and clever part of how this was all done.
Yeah, sounds good. And of course, now that we've have this infrastructure in place, and we first tried it out with JavaScript, TypeScript, and we added C#, and now as you add more and more, like we have Python, we have Scala and Go, it becomes easier and easier to add the next one, because a lot of the structures that are maybe unique to each language now already have an equivalent just from the languages that we've seen so far. So adding the next one is going to be a lot less effort than it was at the first couple of ones. So really interesting to see going forward what that will bring.
Yeah, because that kind of RPC mechanism exists, it just needs to be like, if you translate the RPC mechanism to whatever new language or kind of process a new language requires, you can really reuse a lot of this infrastructure between languages. So this is part of why we went several years with more or less just JVM languages, and now all of a sudden have a whole bunch of other languages coming online.
Question.
I got a question. Does this mean for any language where Modern has a parser, recipes could also be written in that language? Yes, that is very much the idea. You can write recipes in TypeScript, JavaScript. You can write recipes in Go. You can write recipes in C#. So yeah, the idea is that developers in these languages aren't going to want to fire up Java in order to edit their Python. People get the ick about leaving their preferred language ecosystem, doubly so when they're leaving their language system to work on something of that language. So yeah,
we've even had that to the point where just telling them that they need to have Java installed was already a hurdle too big for some of them. So it's interesting what you get to work with. But yeah, definitely we're trying to aim for that native recipe authoring experience for each of those languages. And of course, there is a limit. Like we're not going to ask you to very creatively write Docker file recipes in Dockers or something.
We're not. We're not saying you can write XML recipes in an XML file. Although you can write YAML recipes in a YAML file, kinda. I mean, we have our YAML recipe format.
I know Kevin has a PR open for like a Bash parser, and I shudder to think what recipes are going to look like in Bash. But it should be possible. So yeah, it should be interesting to follow.
Yeah, good point, Greg, who points out that people can stay in their favorite language ecosystem and call existing recipes from other language ecosystems. So just because you prefer to write your recipe in Python, you can still take advantage of calling recipes written in Java or even potentially in .NET. Greg says he won't write Go Bash. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we end up with a Bash or ZSH or shell scripting LST. It's honestly kind of more, shell scripting is honestly kind of more relevant than ever nowadays, with how much like LLMs are like putting together shell scripts on the fly to do various development tasks. So I feel like there might actually be more shell scripting in the future, not less. So that might actually be a move up on our priority list.
And of course, we do get a lot of requests for new languages, and one that keeps coming up is PHP, for instance. And, not quite
PHP
sure what.
PHP was the language that I first really started learning programming with. I'd like dabbled in programming before, but back in high school, I worked for a small internet service provider that in the back of the, it kind of had two sides to the business. A little ISP that would, sell people DSL to get super high speed internet over their phone lines.
Yep.
And in the back of the house, they had some guys who would do PHP web development to make websites for people. So between answering phone calls to help people, restore their internet service or fix their email configuration, I would dabble in for loops and things in PHP and ask questions of the guys in the back, which made for a great foundation once I went to college to already have some programming experience. We got a question about Ruby, and I remember hearing Jonathan talk about Ruby support at one point in the past. I'm sure that was like a Christmas effort.
We had a Christmas effort like 3 years ago, where over Christmas we looked at, can we add Ruby via JRuby? And I think we got decently far along, although it was not in the style of the RPC process that we have currently. So it was a different mechanism to write them. And it's not been merged. It's not been updated since. So if you do have a need for that, we can look at it again. Maybe reuse the tests. But it is
Yeah. There's no Ruby checked in right now, but it would be easier than ever to add it. So if someone has some Ruby use cases they'd like our help with, Kevin thinks it was Christmas 2024. So not so long ago, but long enough that a lot has changed. So I think we could revisit that at any time if there was demand, or even if there isn't. Talking to Jonathan, he was like, "Hey, these token prices they've got to go up, right? Like we're like the industry is collectively in the free trial period for LLM tokens with these, cheap monthly subscriptions allowing you to use tokens that purchased individually would be, thousands of dollars rather than a couple hundred. So Jonathan's like, I need to be running as many agents as I can right now to get like all of this language support done, effectively for free before the rates go up.
It's we are already in the good old days are already behind us where things are cheap. I think I saw a screenshot just this afternoon of Copilot editing a GitHub pull request to add a ad at the bottom of an issue. So for itself.
Oh no!
So that's how you know that they're kind of hard.
So like Copilot was adding an ad for Copilot to the GitHub issue of being like, "Hey, if you bought Copilot, I could solve this issue for you."
So that's where you know that you want to get all your work in right now and forget about it. Just go forward.
No, Kevin's challenging us to do Haskell support. Now, Haskell's interesting. I like the idea of having a really powerful type system. Although I admit when I've dabbled in it, I found the syntax a little bit difficult, and I wanted a better IDE experience. But that was years and years ago. So I'm sure there are better ways to do Haskell support today. I think the challenge with getting us Haskell support implemented, Kevin, is finding a business that actually uses it and has enough of it that they really want some recipes to manipulate it at scale. But if you go find us one of those businesses, Kevin, maybe we would never say never to Haskell support. When we were at a big bank yesterday, they kind of like jokingly asked us if we would support a programming language that I had never heard of, and we're like, "What's that?" And they're like, this bank has been around for decades and decades. It's an internal language that was developed at one point. And we're like, well, I mean, we're not saying no. Like, it's even, while implementing new language support has become substantially easier, like we could potentially do that for you. And they, kind of waved us off like it was a joke. No one would ever really want to like touch their mess, but we might do it. So, Haskell's possible. You find someone who has a few million lines of Haskell they're struggling with, and maybe we can get a parser put together for it.
My one immediate thought is like, what kind of hardware do you need to run that custom language that they developed? It's kind of
it's probably some kind of horrific mainframe thing. We didn't get into the details. Oh yeah. Prethink would be good for that for that language, or for Haskell, to make it easier to work with. Right on. Let's see. Do we want to? So we're just kind of showing people Go. Do we want to show anything from C# or Scala?
So C#. Let me explore what we have here in terms of. I don't see specific sources in C#. Yeah, I did right here. So I just did my first pull request against our C# recipe repository this afternoon. So
nice. What did you add?
I think we moved the class from the recipe module to the open source core. And that meant some imports needed to change, as well as usages and things like that. So I know my way around here, all through like the one PR I did this afternoon. But we have the regular kind of components that you expect. So if you've been a Java developer writing Open Rewrite recipes for a while, then you'll probably recognize all the things that we have, like template engines, as well as just the regular visitors and the C# tree classes, of course. And all of that kind of translates back to like concepts that you already know. Like if you need a method matcher, we have one equivalent right now in the C#. And that kind of allows you then to write recipes pretty much using the concepts you know, but you put the braces on the next line, and very much everything else is pretty
Yeah, and method names start with a capital letter, which feels very strange to me. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel wrong, but I'm just so used to the Java way of like classes are uppercase, methods start lowercase. But honestly, thinking about it, the camel case is a little bit weird. In like no other context do you start with the lowercase letter and then do uppercase letters for subsequent words. I can just imagine, like, in elementary school or something, if I'd written out a sentence and not capitalized the first letter in the sentence and then capitalized every subsequent, first letter, my teachers would have been like, "This child is developmentally challenged. Like, we're not getting through to this one."
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and like Kevin also points out, the brace goes on the next line. It's like small things, but most of this kind of looks familiar, right? Like you have your type pattern, your method name pattern, should we match overrides or not? So very true indeed.
Yeah, my father speaks some German, but at least in elementary school, I hadn't picked up on any of it. Now my German vocabulary, even after taking it for a few years in high school, very limited. Although I know, the essential Bleistift means pencil. So if I'm at a German office supply store, I can sort out that essential need at least.
That is absolutely the crucial bit you want to remember when you just don't know anything else.
Just the essentials, bathroom. I don't remember that so much. Help, I'm hungry. Where's the hotel? I'd have to need Google for help, but stationary, I'm set. Coolie is pen, if I recall.
And just to point out a bit of convergence across languages, if you liked the bit I said about the triple slashed comments, these are the ones that you use in C# already. So if you want to have your languages look more and more alike, then this is something you can look at.
Is this also accept Markdown formatting?
I'm not sure. I haven't pressed the button to turn my IDE into like a writer as well, because like it's already got TypeScript, JavaScript, Python, Go, and C# in there. So yeah, I'm mindful not to press this button to not get like an overload on icons in my left border drawer.
Understood. Yeah, and speaking of not starting wars, I think that someday, soon we could very well have a situation where, you know, it feels kind of silly to like store source code in text when you've got something like the LST around, and you could easily like store an LST that honestly just like didn't contain formatting or had some formatting and it didn't matter, but you would just have your own personal style file that said, put the curly braces where you like to see them. And so then, someone who came from C# land could put their curly braces on the next line, and those of us with more of a Java background could put them on the same line, and we just all see them the way we like them.
I think it would be perfect for like accessibility, but some folks like to have additional indentation. Just Oh, well.
Yeah, finally in the tabs versus spaces debates, and in everyone winning.
All we need is to convince everyone to stop using files, which we've been doing for like 60, 70 years. So
yeah, that's the only trick. Yeah, and making the IDEs and such aware of this tooling kind of approach. But hey, it's possible. It's just a matter of doing it.
I mean, I started my career in bioinformatics, which was in the 2010s, so to say, or like I think I started in 2007. But even there, the file format very much still was limited to whatever you could print onto a punch card. So
yeah,
and that's like I said, 2007, 2008. So it's very hard to get folks off of a certain format the moment that they've pretty much committed to it.
Yeah. Once you've formed a habit, it's like a rut or a gravity well or something that you have to climb back out of your comfortable groove to make any kind of change.
Absolutely.
Well,
yeah. But it's fun to see these kind of small changes, and then now be able to explore this problem space. I think somewhere over the past 2 weeks, we also got our first pull request for improving the handling of a certain type of import in JavaScript and TypeScript. Folks discovering these tools on their own, trying to run them on their own projects, and then from there helping improve everything. So it's just it's really nice to see folks be interested in using Open Rewrite patterns across different languages.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lots of exciting things to look forward to in our next 100 episodes as we expand to more languages, write more recipes, and continue to automate some of the tedium out of software engineering, and make all of our agent tools more efficient by allowing them to query and manipulate the LST directly. So you don't have to do quite so many greps before Claude can get started actually doing something. Thanks to Sean. Happy to have you. Blocking yourself from YouTube was probably in a fit of productivity hacking where you're like, no, I can't access YouTube during the workday. I need to limit myself to only useful websites. At least if I had to guess your motive for a self-imposed YouTube ban.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like he's an avid streamer himself, so I don't know. Maybe the comments. I don't know. It's hard to keep up with everything. So
yeah, absolutely. Kevin asked, "What were our favorite moments for the past 100 years?" I mean, episodes. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun having on guests. Leading up to last year's Code Remix, like meeting some of the various speakers who were going to be presenting at the Code Remix Summit. People like Deshaun was a lot of fun. So I enjoyed those, and it's always cool whenever we've got some blocking things for the kids, or so I thought. Yeah, both blocks go both ways. It turns out. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it whenever we've had guests or something particularly cool to demo or live code. There's a couple times we've written some recipes live. I remember we had an episode where we were going to try to compare using Claude to write a recipe versus writing it manually. It kind of had this notion of like a man versus machine kind of thing. But we almost immediately got distracted by a bug in Open Rewrite that we went and then kind of debugged that live. And I don't remember if we got the recipe done, but it ended up being a productive hour, if not the hour we originally intended.
There was a pull request at the end of the show.
There was a pull request at the end, so it was all good. How about you, Tim? Do you have any fond memories in particular?
I really like it indeed when we get to bring friends on who each have their own projects as well, and they tie in some form with Open Rewrite. So we had the folks on from Camunda, we had the folks on from the Timefold, all of them using Open Rewrite and for their own communities to help bring things up. So it's just really neat to be able to feature them here, see what they do, and then see them again next time at a conference. Just a lot of fun to share the stage.
Absolutely. And Paula asked if we had any favorite or not so favorite blooper reel moments. I mean, that clip of you water skiing was a good blooper reel moment.
That worked well. I think Jada cut it up into like a 10-second consumable short as well.
Yeah, there's a YouTube short or a TikTok of that out there somewhere. That was pretty fun. No, Jada never missing the chance for the plug. Yeah, go and check out that YouTube link. You can find find a video of Tim's excellent prowess at water skiing, which I've tried once, and that was quite difficult. I did not really manage to get up on my feet for more than a second. So however your clip ended, just the fact that the clip started with you on your feet, I was impressed with your athleticism and poise.
It's just this.
There was the time where I started off with "I'm your usual host, Ham," and mispronounced my own name.
It can be daunting to run a live web show and just see a video.
Yep.
Oh well, not really easily flustered now anymore with you having 100 episodes under your belt. So
yeah, it's a little bit more routine. But yeah, I did did once get a package from Jada with Sam the Ham Snyder and was incensed at the disrespect. Or actually, initially, I was just quite confused because I didn't remember at that moment that I'd said it. So I'm just like, who would say this to me? What is this about? I didn't make the connection to Code Remix right away.
Especially since your postal worker will start to address you like that as well, and it's maybe not as flattering.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, so Kevin Loftus could have just as easily happened to him. What would the Kevin Ham equivalent be? Heaven? I don't know. Heavenly Kevin? That's not so bad. That sounds kind of nice, actually.
Yeah, we should bring him on and have him practice.
Yeah. I feel like that's a little more flattering than ham, but I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you deify and appreciate your pork products. I'm your usual host, Heaven. Yeah. That is a real possibility. Oh, Kevin's Tim impersonation was good. That was good. He got some of the mannerisms down pretty well.
That kind of taught me not to take a week off if I can avoid it. So I'm going to call it from wherever I am now.
Well, I think Tim, the good news is that you have an opportunity every week, should you so choose, to do a Kevin impression and get him back for that.
I should just open in a different language every week, I think, and then
that would be a good start. Yeah, Kevin, I saw a post from him earlier that he was learning Turkish, I think it was.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if that's a joke, but I'm assuming that it's completely in earnest, since Kevin is such a talent and an interest in language acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true, Tim? Do you know more languages than Kevin?
I don't know. He knows more esoteric languages. I just know the one language family that is all across Europe. So
yeah.
And but he's more fluent in Spanish than I am, and Portuguese if thrown into a call. So.
Well, I remember Kevin wants to do Portuguese for a call. Maybe we should have you guys on here to have a conversation with each other in Portuguese and see how that goes.
That can only go poorly.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell either way. So as long as you didn't default back to English for anything, I'd be like, wow, these guys know Portuguese really well. And then actual Portuguese speakers might be incensed at the grave offense you were doing to their language and culture.
I think the moment I start to repeat like "good morning" every couple of words it's going to be my
problem. It might be evident that the vocabulary was not keeping up. Yeah, fair enough. Well, all right, Tim. I feel like this we've reached a good point with this episode to call it happy 100 episodes, and here's to 100 more.
Yes, good to see you. And then hope to see you all next week. Yes,
hope to see you all next week, and then at Code Remix Summit live in Miami, May 12th through 13th, 11th through 13th. I should have checked the dates before I started giving that plug. Approximately around those days.
11th, 13th. Yeah. See you there.
Cool. Got it. All right. See you there. Bye, everyone.